Okay, how did they find themselves falling in love with someone else if they're a Christian? Because falling, if we did any little bit of science or physics, we know that whatever falls must rise back up. So if I fell into, at some point I'm going to fall out of. Right? But then these gaps that are there, it could be a consequence of the person that you're with not being able to meet your needs. It happens because loving a person then also means that you extend yourself for their sake.
Long as I'm alive, I'ma make a plan. Strongholds to break, got long walks to take, got no votes to make. We don't bet, we pray. Hey, African man, yeah. The African male iris through the eye of an African male.
Yeah, we're back.
We're back.
You see, there was a burning question from one of our audience,
followers,
and they actually called in live just to explain their situation to Sean.
Yeah.
I don't know if Sean, you just wanted to summarize maybe what.
So the summary essentially is this female fan of the show has been married for around about 20 years,
right?
And now is in a state where she's in love with someone else,
Right.
but they're also of the Christian persuasion, so which means to them divorce is not an option.
No option.
So they're now thinking, there are children that are involved. I think about 3 children, if I captured that correctly. And so the fear now is, what happens? Do I then leave? What is the advice then?
Right.
So a couple of things we need to agree on.
So I think we can start by agreeing that it's a lot.
It's a lot, yeah.
It's a lot.
Kuningi.
So my question would be, how did it happen that one falls in love with someone else if you are a Christian, as you say?
Right.
That's the first part.
Okay.
But this is the judgy part, the part I don't like, right?
Right.
Because I'm trying to apply the standard that they hold themselves to. I'm trying to apply it to this case.
Okay.
So they say they're Christian. And then if you then look at the Christian definition of love, I think you'll find it in 1 Corinthians 14. 13? Yeah. Thank you for the correction. So you find it there, and it defines how love is patient, love is kind, love is understanding. It does not rejoice in wrongdoing. Which is why I'm asking, okay, how did they find themselves falling in love with someone else if they're a Christian?
Right.
But then let's pack the judgy part aside, because we're people and these things happen. The second part would be, what is it? How is it possible that you leave a relationship, or rather you are in a relationship, but then there's still space to love someone else?
Right.
So it means there are gaps there.
There are gaps, 100%.
Right? But then these gaps that are there, it could be a consequence of the person that you're with not being able to meet your needs. It happens. Or it could be that you have not expressed those needs. So it goes back to the point that we were sharing in the earlier episode, where we were saying it's quite possible that if you give someone a job but not a job description, they're going to fail. So does the partner know that they have gaps? Maybe the sex isn't as great.
Right.
Maybe that's what pushed this person away. Or they're emotionally unavailable, and the other party is very emotionally available and seems to be better at communicating even than their own partner. So the question then becomes, have you expressed your needs? Have they been met? If you've expressed them, were they understood? And then what was the other party's reaction, right? If it's a question of your needs not being met, then it's also okay to then say, listen, I think this has run its course. I get the whole don't believe in divorce and all of that, but I stay away from that because I know that people change and situations change. For example, I wouldn't expect my sister to stay married to an abusive man. I understand what the Bible says, but I do not think there's anywhere in the Bible that says even if the husband beats you, stay there. There's nothing like that. Right? So for me, it's about then calculating, number one, is it a me issue? Do I have needs that are not being met? Or is it an issue of my partner not coming to the table in certain respects? Can we then get help to capacitate us both, or to capacitate my partner so that he's where I need him to be, or she's where I need her to be? And if that is then possible, then that's salvageable and we can work on it and fix things. But we have to do that at the expense of that other person. They have to go.
Right.
Because they become a distraction. The other part then becomes, well, if you're saying, listen, I'm just in love with this person. We spoke about the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. Right. We spoke about how the grass is always greener on the other side. And I would then want to know, and I wish we could have additional information. Number one, does the other party also have a partner?
Right.
Does the other party also have children? Because I think anybody who's single and maybe does not have a child or has one child is going to be appealing to somebody that has children.
Interesting.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
So we need to look at all of these things. Is that attraction organic, natural, or are you attracted to this person because you know there are things you're supposed to deal with that you don't want to deal with? So the shortcut then becomes, let me choose someone else.
It's a lot. Eh?
But I do also want to say love is hard. Loving a person is hard. And that's why many people suck at it. Because loving a person then also means that you extend yourself for their sake. You give up certain things for their sake. Right. But also they must do the same thing. So there must be reciprocity, right?
For it to work. Yeah.
For it to work. And remember the 4 things I mentioned in that other episode. We say there must be pleasure, there must be sacrifice, there must be commitment. And I think the 4th thing that we spoke about, pleasure, commitment, sacrifice, alignment. Yeah, right? But I want to add a 5th, consideration. Right. Do I consider the other party before I make any decision? Have I thought about how they would feel? How would I feel if I was the one put in the spot where someone is saying, listen, I've fallen in love with someone else?
Yeah.
Right? So zero judgment. Yes, it happens that you fall in love with someone else. But for me, it's what are the causal factors? What happened for you to get there? We need to understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you think couples can actually handle these kind of conversations?
It's almost like therapy is needed for that. Eh?
Therapy is certainly needed. Couples certainly can handle such things, but it depends on the maturity. That's why I said in that other episode we had, I shared the fact that we make it a moral issue when it's not supposed to be. There are 2 things that are happening. We've got 2 individuals, all with certain needs. Right. And let me share something that we might not like hearing. People go where their needs are met.
Right.
That's valid.
That's fair.
This is not to justify anything. Please don't shoot me.
People go where their needs are met.
Wow.
Yeah. So the question then becomes, are we now a couple who has, because also let's not discount the 20 years. 20 years comes with routine.
Yeah.
At some point it comes with boredom. So maybe we just need to spice things up.
Yep, yeah.
And our problems are solved. Maybe we have lost each other along the way because in the humdrum of everyday life, how busy we are, sometimes we lose sight of each other and we lose track, and you end up not knowing the person you're sleeping next to. And that's why it's important. Part of the work that one has to do to maintain a relationship is to constantly always have opportunities where it's just you and your person constantly reflecting, dating, intentionally having conversations so that you know where they're at and where you're at and you don't lose each other. But what we find a lot of the times is that people that have been together for ages, conversations don't happen anymore. It's now just routine. You know, we just now essentially become roommates and housemates instead of lovers, instead of friends and everything else. So it's a complex issue that I don't think will be answered in one go, but it's about looking at the causal factors. Why are we where we're at? Is it a me thing? Or is it a them thing? If it's a them thing, are they aware that it's a them thing? They're not meeting my needs. Have I communicated that? Have we tried to capacitate them to bring them to a level where they're able to meet my needs? If it's me, then have I done the same? And then we work from there.
It's a dangerous one because like the person who's fallen in love with someone else, it's almost like now you are going to you're going to find every reason to justify that.
Yeah.
Right? To say, I have fallen in love with this person.
Yeah.
And you kind of discard the wrong that you've done.
Yes.
You know, to allow that to happen.
Yeah. So actually, let's start from this. Let's take it in this way. The problem is that they've fallen.
Yeah.
Right.
That is the problem.
Okay.
Falling in love, ladies and gents, should be reserved for high school.
You know what? There was another question that I was going to ask.
Sorry, but it should be reserved for high
is
school.
love enough?
Because falling, if we did any little bit of science or physics, we know that whatever falls must rise back up. So if I fell into, at some point I'm going to fall out of. Already that's a problem.
All right.
So they have not chosen intentionally. What I'm not hearing in that is I don't see intention. Either intention in loving someone else or intention in staying where they are. So they might be their understanding of love might actually be fundamentally flawed. Some people take infatuation as love. Some people take physical attraction as love.
Right.
It's beyond that, right? It's bigger than that. Because essentially when we speak of love, number one, it should be self-replenishing. It replenishes itself. Number two, all those definitions that are given in 1 Corinthians 13, they apply there.
Right.
It's patient, it's kind, it does not rejoice in wrongdoing.
Does not envy.
Does not, exactly. So then you add things such as the 4 things we added, or the 5 things. We said consideration, we said sacrifice, we said commitment, we said pleasure, right? So the question then becomes, are those elements present in their relationship or in their marriage, or they're lacking? If they're lacking, or are they also actually even present wherever they think they want to go? Because if they're not, then it's certainly not love. Yeah. It seems like it, but it's not.
It's not.
You know, it's something that we also talked about a bit on our break. That also kind of ties into this. I think you're actually raising the point that sex is a skill.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, yes.
Having said that, you know, majority of us Africans, of course, we come from a religious background. Let's say, you know, you've grown up with that notion that you are saving yourself for marriage.
Yeah.
And here you are, husband and wife. You are both new to sex, right? And either the husband or the wife then finds out, okay, my partner does not satisfy me. How and that
How do you deal with that? Because I'm sure at some point those situations are there.
Yeah.
True.
Where for one reason or the other, you know, the sex is just not sexing the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
Then there's the guilt, of course, from the other partner. Maybe they're not opening up. They're not communicating that you're not satisfying me. Opens the door, of course, to
Infidelity.
That would be the so if you look at the fundamentals we spoke of again, they save us in this situation. We said there must be commitment, sacrifice, pleasure.
Right.
We mentioned pleasure. Remember?
Yeah.
So for me, it's about understanding that sex is a skill. The unfortunate thing is that many people think it comes naturally. And of course it does. But the more you're with someone, then certainly the level of intimacy and the level of the quality of sex should be improving as well.
Yeah.
And we have so much information out there right now. We know for a fact if you're a guy, you want to maintain, this is free information for the males on the show, you want to maintain harder erections, for example, do Kegel exercises, right? Information is out there. I could even give you ways to jumpstart your system, right? For example, you take, cayenne pepper.
Now our DMs are going to be full.
So, cayenne pepper, right? You take cayenne pepper, a quarter of a teaspoon, you put it into a glass of warm water, you drink that turbocharges you. Right. But you could even take it even further. Yeah, it does. You could take it even further. By the way, I don't advise on things I have not tried myself. So you're safe. You're safe. Or you take 2 cloves of garlic, you slice them up, you add cloves themselves, if you know cloves.
Yeah.
Right? These are all natural products, right?
Products, yeah.
You take them, you take the red onion, you know it?
Yeah.
Slice up the whole red onion, right? And then you put it into 2 liter or 5 liter of water. You let it sit for 2-3 days. You drink that first thing in the morning. You drink that before you go to bed. Turbocharged.
What?
That's interesting. So that
is interesting,
maybe for a period of time, or
for a period of time, you could even then, if you want to put it in boiling water and then add a pinch of or 2 of honey to make it taste better. So these are all natural products. Let me explain why that's important.
Right.
what gives a man an erection is blood flowing to those regions.
Right.
So if for any reason your blood is not flowing properly or your body is inflamed, then your erections are going to be weaker. In fact, because I'm also into mental health and physical health, let's speak a little bit about that. One of the shortest signs of telling whether you're okay health-wise as a man is whether you wake up with morning wood or not.
Right.
If you're waking up without morning wood, guys, there's a problem.
Wrong.
Now, it doesn't mean you're dying, so relax. It could simply mean that, sometimes you need to cleanse your system.
Right.
It could mean that you need to be careful of the food that you're eating. Maybe you're not drinking enough water. You're not resting enough. All of those are causal factors.
Come into play.
Right? So sometimes then people are not doing well in the bedroom. Performance becomes weak because health-wise, you're actually not okay. So with those tips that we shared, I'm going to leave it there for now.
Right.
But the long and short of it is it's a skill.
We're gonna get those remedies and just put them in the comment
the long and short of it is that, another dope one is actually cinnamon. You know cinnamon?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So you take cinnamon, you add it to all of those things that I said before. Voila. Bob's your uncle. Okay. So the long and short of it is that sex is a skill. You should be getting better at it the more you do it. And people's needs change as well. Right. That's important, right? So it's important for us to stay that communication. Right. So it's important to then be honest. For me, the second that in a relationship we can't speak openly about our needs, there's a problem. So we should try and make it a safe. Guys, if she says to you, hey Joe, you're not doing the things, don't take it personally. Ne? You're getting feedback. In fact, you should want feedback.
It's important.
It's important. Like, I mean, we sometimes we're in business or you're at a job, you want feedback. How well am I doing?
Right.
So when you get the feedback, it's not about internalizing it and then, so who did you sleep with that you're thinking of? You're thinking of prayer, eh? That's why. It's not about that, right? Yeah. So it's about, okay, so where are my shortcomings? Okay, dude, number one, you don't touch me enough. You just want to rush, slow down, and listen to women because women actually know their bodies more.
Right. True.
Right? So listen to them. They know what works. And all you have to do as a guy is follow instructions. That's it. And you get them home and dry.
Right.
Okay. So it is a skill. I'm going to repeat that it's a skill.
Right.
And this is why we must all be worried about our performance and making sure that it gets better.
And okay, just a last one on that area. Sex drive.
Yeah.
What happens... What would you advise a man whose wife maybe now their sex drive is not what they used to be? You as men usually, we are privileged to be long-standing for a long period of time. But I think for women it changes, of course, hormonal children and all that. So
also
maybe tips for the vice versa.
Yeah.
Where the
there are men also whose drive goes.
So there are answers, there are remedies always. So on the female part, they have these nice supplements. I think they're called libido and tonton. I don't know, but if you research, you'll find them. So it's literally just supplements that help increase the libido itself. But also I'm big on natural foods as well. So things such as oysters, for example, they help boost that. Things such as avocados. They help boost libido itself. Nuts, and this goes for both men and women, by the way. It boosts libido itself. So it's about this is why, we have statements such as you are what you eat, and people think it's overly simplistic. It's not. It's a telling exposition of the quality of health that you're going to have. We can judge it based off of what you eat and what you drink. So it's important that you guys do research into what foods, for example, increase libido, what foods lead to better erections, etc. You get all of this. All of that information is available. So, I mean, we're in the 21st century. We're in the information age as well. So nobody should be struggling with, for example, erectile dysfunction. There are solutions, but it's about having honest conversations amongst couples to say, Joe, I'm struggling a little bit. Hey, it's not getting up the way it used to. And then walk through that together as a couple and work through it together. That's how you solve it.
Right.
The second you think, let me go to Sbanban, problems.
Then,
The motherland, the African man. Long as I'm alive, I'ma make a plan. Strongholds to break, got long walks to take, got no votes to make, but don't bet, we pray. Hey, African man, The African male iris.